So welcome, dear devotees. Today we wanted to have a closer look at the holy names and specifically the offenses that we should avoid whilst chanting the holy names. And I wanted to seek the good wishes and the blessings of the devotees so that we can share together some nectar about the holy name that will help us chant this incredible gift that we've been given properly. So as an introduction, what is the holy name? It's always good to understand this quite basic of information, because if we don't understand this, then we will find it a little difficult to chant in the proper way. Have to understand that the holy name is non-different from the Lord. The Lord is omnipresent. That means he's everywhere, including in his sound. And we've been seeing from the Bhagavatam how important sound is. The first sound that the first living entity in this world heard was Tapa. So this sound came from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it emanates from the Supreme Lord. Now, anything that emanates from the Supreme Lord is, one, eternal, but it's also absolute. It's non-different from the Lord. The meaning of omnipresent is that he is present everywhere, including in sound. So his name, his form, his paraphernalia, they're not different from him. So this is a very important thing to understand, because if we can understand that when we are chanting, we're actually present with the Lord, and the Lord is present with us, it'll make a huge difference to the way we chant. If we don't think he's there, we could be watching the television and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram, Hare. If a guest comes into our house, and we're doing that, that would be considered pretty impolite. So we're inviting the Lord to enter into our hearts. But if we are not present, then it's a real shame, because he's present. And it's a great loss of an opportunity to be with the Lord. This is something from the Padma Purana, which is such an amazing verse. And we like to just recite that together. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punasudo Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namino. Okay. Naniben, would you like to read the English?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete. It is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any conditions, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by the material qualities, there is no question of its being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of the material nature. This is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. Padma Purana.
Thank you. So if anybody's got any comments or any questions, I'm happy. I mean, it's always nice to have interaction, some discussion. If anybody's got any points they'd like to discuss, absolutely fine for the company. Nanibin, have you any points that you'd like to mention at this point?
Yes, I'm just thinking. So, yes, it always says that the Krishna's name, fame, form is all the same. So, when we say Krishna or when we say his name, we actually feel that Krishna is physically present. Does it what it means, or even when you're doing maha-mantra?
those devotees who are very advanced in their Krishna, they will feel the physical presence of Krishna as well as, the subtle presence. So just vibrating the name, it said that the Lord will be actually dancing on their tongue. So he's actually there. Yeah, he's actually there. Especially, for the advanced devotees, he will be able to perceive the presence of the Supreme Lord, physically, subtly, mentally, in every way. As we slowly advance in Krishna consciousness, we'll also become a little bit more conscious of ourselves first, because I think mostly we're not even conscious of ourselves, but we'll become conscious of ourselves, and in time we'll also become conscious that actually, yes, the Lord is present with me right now.
Yeah. So we have to strive for that, isn't it?
Yes, definitely one of the prayers when we're chanting is, let me feel your presence. Let me don't throw me away, my Lord. Let me be near you.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
No, thank you. Okay. So this is an incredible, beautiful verse. It shows the potency of the Lord's name, not different from the Lord himself. The Lord has invested all his energies in his holy names. So this is exhibited, the evidence for this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he gave us simply 8 verses. And in one of those 8 verses, the second verse, he says, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sharva Shakti Tatrapitani Amita Smare Makale Tadashi Dava Kripa Bhagwan Mamai Paduve Bhavcha. He says, I have invested, the Lord has invested all his energies into the holy names. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. Nija Sharva Shaktis. So Sarva Shaktis, all his energies. And this is one of the reasons why the holy name is especially empowered, powerful in this age of Kali Yuga, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself came and practiced. The Lord himself practiced what he preached, right? What do you want to say?
Yeah. I was listening to some pastimes about Lord Chaitanya, and someone asked, why does Lord Chaitanya have to come, really? And so the person who's giving the class, they said, well, Krishna's given us all these instructions, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that in Bhagavad Gita. And but if you look at his life, he doesn't really practice what he preaches. He doesn't tell the truth. He's doing all sorts of nonsense things as well, which we can't understand.
Apparently, yeah.
Which we can't understand. So then, Krishna thought, okay, in Kali Yuga, I need to actually show them what I mean, by my example. That's why he came as that devotee, as Lord Chaitanya.
Practice what he preached.
Correct.
So the Lord himself, when he came, he especially made this maha-mantra very important for us. So we should have no doubts that when we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, there's absolutely nothing more important at that time, at that moment, than chanting those holy names in full consciousness. And if we can manage to do that even just once, it's amazing. It can destroy all of our mountains of sins, it says, just even once chanting the holy name of the Lord properly, and fix us in God consciousness. So very powerful. Of course, we'll be chanting for years and years, but due to lack of attention, due to offences, we just not necessarily making progress at the rate that we can make progress. He's got lots of valuables, right? The Lord has got unlimited. He owns everything. He owns this world. He owns the spiritual world. He owns everything around him, belongs to him, comes from him, emanates from him. You know, he says, Aham Sarvasva Prabhavo. I am the source of the spiritual and the material worlds. Nothing is beyond him. However, there are a couple of things which he owns, which are so valuable. One of them, you will all have guessed, is his eternal consort, Srimati Radharani. But the other is the holy name. It's his most valued possession. And it shows how much he values us, because he is giving us this most valued possession he has. He's giving it to us. That's because he wants us back in the spiritual world with him. He wants us back associating with him and his devotees again. He's missing our association. That's the only thing he doesn't possess. Our love, our association. This sounds probably a little arrogant. We've forgotten him. We don't give a two hoots about him. But he's never forgotten us. Just like the father and the mother never forget the child, even though the child may be in a world of its own. But the parents are always looking out for, and we can see that the Lord is always looking out for us. So he wants us back. He definitely wants us back in the spiritual world with him. So he's given us, through the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, the holy names, the maha-mantra.
Yeah, because it's like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said to have opened up this treasure house, and he's just giving it to everyone freely.
Why is this his most valued possession? It's because it's a little bit like why he won't necessarily give prema bhakti to everybody, because he becomes controlled by that prema bhakti. Radharani controls Krishna by her love. So we can endeavor for it, whether we get it or not, that's up to the Lord. We of course want prema bhakti, pure love of God. And we have to endeavor for it. And if Krishna trusts us enough, he'll give us prema bhakti. And why he won't give it? Because he becomes under the control of his devotees at that time. Anything the devotee says gets done. And the holy name, similarly, is more powerful than the Lord himself. This is a really amazing thing to understand, try to understand. The Lord's holy name is even more powerful than the Lord himself. And there are certain examples in the pastimes of Ramayana, which we can go through later on, where this is demonstrated, the power of the holy name, compared to the power of the Lord himself when he was present in on this world. So we know the maha-mantra. I presume everybody knows the maha-mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Of course, the Prabhupada has given us meaning of this maha-mantra chanting. Basically, when we're chanting, the mood is, please engage us in your service. You are serving us by providing everything we have, by caring for us, by being with us, by guiding us. Let us do something for you. So this is the essential essence of this mantra. I want to serve you, my dear Lord. Please engage me. There are many other mantras. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Many devotees have achieved perfection by chanting this mantra, for example. Dhruv Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, these are all great, great devotees of the Lord who have achieved perfection through chanting this particular mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There's others as well, Krishna, what was that? the Pushti Marg, they chant the mantra. These are all powerful mantras, but there's nothing that is more powerful in this age of Kali Yuga than the maha-mantra. This is the most important. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. There's absolutely nothing more powerful than this mantra. If we just can get the faith that if we chant this mantra, then we will achieve spiritual perfection within this very life, then that is what will happen, guaranteed.
Yeah, because if you look at Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Radha doesn't really appear in that mantra. Whereas here you have Radha and Krishna.
Prabhuji, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. What is the meaning? That I bow before Lord Vasudeva?
Absolutely right. I pay my obeisances to you, my dear Lord Shri Vasudeva. And Vasudeva is none different from Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's correct. Naniben, is that okay?
Yes, yeah.
Even like Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, there's no Radharani in there. It's just Krishna about it. Paying obeisances to Krishna.
Of course, the Gaudiya Acharyas are so expert. They always find Radharani in everything they do, as we found out when we've been looking at the Gayatri mantras. And even you think, there's no way. How can you establish Radharani's presence in this mantra? And they do. So.
Yeah, because the Gaudiyas actually worship Radha and Krishna in all the temples, but some of the other denominations do not have Radharani, just have Vishnu or Narayan or Lakshmi Narayan at the most.
Harbol Navi, Hare Krishna. Jai. And Srimad Bhagavatam starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Correct. Nice point. Very good.
First thing that Srimad Bhagavatam starts, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Janmadhyasya, then goes on into how that first verse, yeah.
Very good. Nice point. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And the first word is Om.
Yeah, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah, and I was, having had Brahm someone before I came across Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita and the whole Krishna conscious scene and everything. I was given the mantra Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. So that's been part of my life as well.
Yes. And nothing wrong with the mantra. It's fantastic.
No, it's very powerful. It's from Pushti Marg side, but it is. And then this Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This was actually Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare. That's how it is written in the Kali Santana Upanishad. And he said, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastev, Gatiranyeta. So when he says Hare Nam, it's been emphasized 3 times. Then it's Kalo Nastev. Means Kalo means the age of Kali. Nastev means destroyed, the effects of Kali Yuga, emphasized 3 times again. And then obviously Lord Chaitanya came. When he came, he put the mantra the other way, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And that makes it an authorized by Lord Chaitanya himself that this can now be chanted anywhere, under any circumstances. You can be sitting on a toilet and chant, doesn't matter. There'll be, Lord Chaitanya has authorized it like that. You can be in any impure state. But prior to that, this mantra was also a bit like Gayatri mantra. It was very chanted in a pure state and all that sort of thing. So I think I'm right.
Interesting. Nice point. Thank you for sharing. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Madhusudan Babu. Let's have a look. Where are we? So Om also is a very interesting transcendental sound vibration, because generally we tend to associate the impersonal form of the Lord with Om. But actually, that's not necessarily accurate, because in the Bhagavad Gita himself, Krishna himself says Om in a few places, that I am the transcendental sound, Om, and Om Tat Sat, how sacrifice originates. So he's given a lot of importance to Om. And Jiva Goswami has very kindly also explained that Om is actually referring to the personal form of the Lord. It's not referring to the impersonal form of the Lord. I think a lot of people who believe that they can become God, this impersonal Mayavadi philosophy, they attach themselves to the chanting of Om, and hence why we've got this sort of view of Om, but actually that's referring to the supreme personality of Godhead. And Jiva Goswami also explains that A-U-I-M, A is for Krishna, U for Radha, and M for us, the living entities. So it's very, very interesting how she's the sort of glue between us and Krishna. So that's, but Om, again, we don't necessarily chant that. When we do yagyas, we will also invoke that and other areas, but maha-mantra is where our sadhana is. That's where our spiritual practice lies. Yeah, so Krishna means all attractive. Yeah, good point. Very beautiful. That's the meaning of this, the name Krishna. Hare, we just mentioned. Hare refers to the female aspect of the supreme, the divine couple, of the divine couple. This is the female aspect, Radha. And Rama means the pleasure potency of the Lord. That is, Rama means enjoyment. And he's a reservoir of all pleasure. That's how he's defined. So, and we are always looking for pleasure, looking to be happy. And when we tap into Ram, then we can also link in with that supreme pleasure potency and become happy in a proper situation.
And also people take Ram to be either Sri Ramchandra or Ram as in Balaram, or can also be Krishna, who is Radhika.
Ram.
Yeah. So depending on how you visualize it, you can take the different aspects of Ram like that.
So the purpose, why are we chanting? The most important is to please Krishna. Why does this please Krishna? We've forgotten Krishna. Just like actually when the child is out in the garden or playing with his friends and he's forgotten the parents, and when the mother, especially when she will see the child come in and say, "Mommy," she becomes very happy, right? And she'll know exactly what that mommy means. It could be many different meanings, just one word, but she'll know exactly what the child wants, either hungry or hurt himself or missing mommy, like that. So in the same way, we've been away from the Lord, and as soon as we chant his holy name, he becomes pleased, and he'll understand exactly why we're chanting that name. He's within our heart, but it's to please the Lord. That's our purpose. It's worship of Radha and Krishna. And there's a very instructive pastime. We've mentioned it a few times between it was Narottam Das Thakur and his spiritual master, Lokanath Goswami. They were chanting in Vrindavan, their early morning sadhana, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Both are completely engrossed. And a farmer comes and he's asking for water. So he asked Lokanath Das Goswami, but Lokanath Swami was firmly fixed in his chanting. He didn't notice, or he didn't sway from the chanting. Narottam Das Thakur, he asked next, and Narottam Das said, "Yes, I can get you water. Here it is." So afterwards, Narottam Das Thakur started chanting again, finished his chant. They both finished. And Lokanath Das Goswami said to Narottam Das Thakur, "You're not fit to live in Vrindavan." "Oh, why, Gurudev? What have I done wrong?" You stopped your worship of Radha and Krishna whilst you were chanting. You're involved in worship and you stopped it. "Oh, but because he could have got his water from anywhere. He's a farmer. You didn't have to stop. It was not an emergency. You should not, when you're chanting, you don't stop your worship of Radha and Krishna unless there's something that really, really needs your attention. So you're not fit to live in Vrindavan." So this was like an instruction. Of course, both are liberated souls. But this is an extra instruction to us that when we're chanting, we should be completely fixed in that chanting. We're worshipping Radha and Krishna. So it's not something that, we've got a pen and pad here, and if we think of something, we're chanting. If we think of something, we'll write it down. Not a good idea. If we're chanting, we're just chanting, nothing else. There's no other occupation. We go for a japa walk while we're chanting, we're having a good look around. Sightseeing too. No, japa walk, focus still has to be completely Radha and Krishna. So this is very important to understand this. If we can get this right, then our chanting will actually be inoffensive.
Radhanath Maharaj, I was once asked, why doesn't he have any deities? Because all the other sannyasis have deities. So he took out his beads and he said, "I have 108 saligrams here, which I'm worshipping every day."
Did you know that? Did you?
Well, I think one of the best explanation or given to this maha-mantra is by Prabhupada himself on the recording of the Hare Krishna, the Radha Krishna temple album, when he first came out. And I have it in my car, and I have it on my tape, and my car got stolen and it went with it. So I've got to, and I had to reestablish it again, but it's on the website and everywhere. But I've listened to the definition of how Prabhupada explains the meaning of the Hare Krishna mantra on that record album, and it's recorded, and you listen to it. And in that definition, the more and more you listen, because I used to listen to that every day. When I used to go there, first thing I do is I listen to Prabhupada, the meaning of this maha-mantra, where Prabhupada starts off. I almost used to say all the whole word to myself, is that, when Prabhupada starts by saying this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare, is the sublime method of reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities, but due to our association with matter since time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by material atmosphere. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are all becoming more and more entangled in our complexities. I mean, each and every word Prabhupada has chosen to explain this is amazing. I used to wonder, how can Prabhupada come up with some word like entangled in our complexities? Then Prabhupada goes on about this illusion is called Maya, or hard struggle for existence over the stringent laws of material nature. This illusory struggle against the material nature can at once be stopped by revival of our Krishna consciousness. And then Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. And I used to listen to that and I say, it is not an artificial imposition on the mind. That means when we are chanting, we're not trying to impose that on our mind, and it's not an artificial thing as well. This consciousness is the original energy of the living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived, and the process is recommended by the authorities for this age. So, so if you get a chance, I mean, I can read the whole thing. I don't want to go through it all myself, but Prabhupada actually explains the problem of this material world, the solution to it, the maha-mantra, and the relationship Krishna is our situation, and who we are as spiritual living entities. And it's amazing, amazing. You got to listen to it. And I would try and listen to it by heart, but I say, how can Prabhupada put all these words together to explain the intricacy of this maha-mantra and the solution to it? And it's been recorded, and it used to be distributed by the devotees in the early days, 1970s, when I first came across Prabhupada's. I had to borrow this LP from the library, actually, because I couldn't afford to buy any. But then devotees would distribute. So it's amazing little definition or explanation. So you should listen to that.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Very, very important. Very important. And as you said, it's like Prabhupada saying it right at the beginning, it's we've broken a relationship, we've got to mend it. And this chanting of this maha-mantra actually will mend our broken relationship with the Lord. And
and when Prabhupada uses the word like reviving our Krishna consciousness,
right.
It's so amazing, it's just amazing.
So this is the thing. We've broken that relationship. The onus is on us to revive it. The Lord is always helping us. He's always assisting us. But we've got to put an effort into it. So the chanting is our effort to mend this broken relationship. That's the whole idea. Revive, as Prabhupada said, revive our original relationship.
If we go to that ishvara.org, there's a whole in text, the whole definition of what exactly Prabhupada says. When he explains how Hara, the three words, namely Hara, Krishna, and Rama, are transcendental seeds of the Mahamantra. And the chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and his eternal energy. Hara, for giving protection to the conditioned soul. The chanting is exactly like a genuine cry by the child for the mother. And Mother Hara helps in achieving the grace of the Supreme Father Hari or Krishna, and the Lord reveals himself to such a sincere devotee. No other means, therefore, of spiritual realization is as effective in this age as chanting the Maha-mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. I mean, this is only a 5 minutes. When Prabhupada was asked to record this, when they were producing the album, and this is exactly what he, came with, and it's got everything in that. Really amazing.
That is very good. Thank you for sharing that. So what are the effects of good japa, right? Shikshashtakam, Chetodapanam Majanam Bhaptavagnivapanam Shreya Keravichandika Vitaranam Vidyapadujivanam Ananda Buddhivatanam Patiputam Punapataswadanam Sarvasat Snapanam Param Vijayati Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Cleanses the heart, extinguishes birth and death, repeated birth. It's a prime benediction for humanity, spreads the rays of the benediction moon, life of all transcendental knowledge, increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, enables us to fully taste the nectar. These are amazing benefits of chanting good japa, awakens our love for Godhead. It's a foundational basis of bhakti, equips us to deal with life's challenges, and it gives us peace with ourselves because we understand this is just a temporary world. Don't get too hung up on issues in this world. So where are we now with our japa, right? Do we think that if we continue as we're chanting now, are we making progress towards Krishna? Or is our chanting at such a level that we're just going to remain where we are? Or, on the other hand, is it so bad that we're going backwards? So we can assess it ourselves. Right? We can see where we are. Are we? And later on, we can see, if not today, hopefully maybe tomorrow, what are the symptoms of these three? What are the three types of chanting? Nama-parat, offensive chanting. That's what we want to look at now. Nama-bhas, where we're not offensive, but at the same time, it's not pure chanting. Shuddhanam, that's pure chanting. So let's have a look at this one first. Nam-aparat, right? That's what we wanted to do today. So the 10 offenses that we want to avoid. One is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name. So the devotees of the Lord are very dear to Krishna because they are promoting this holy name, promoting the Krishna consciousness, God consciousness. Sri Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita 1868, he says, Ya idam paramam guyam, one who explains this secret to the devotees of the Bhagavad Gita, that servant is very dear to me. And then the next verse he says, there's no servant more dear to me than that person who is giving this Krishna consciousness to others. So if we blaspheme the devotees who are so dear to Krishna, actually the impact is on our chanting. It's an offense to the holy name of the Lord. So when we chant, if we have some negative views against devotees, then it will have an impact on our chanting. We are causing an offense to the Lord, to the holy name of the Lord. So we have to be very careful. We may have different views, that's fine, but no negative views or becoming blasphemous to the devotees. That's really not right. We can have other views, different views from devotees. Absolutely no problem with that. But we shouldn't cross the line of making it offensive. So that's the first offense. Now, Anil, you there? Yeah, good. So the next second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. So in Hinduism, the Trimurti is very famous, right? Shiva, Brahma, Mahesh, Brahma, and Vishnu. And generally, most people consider them all on the equal platform because of really ignorance, I would say. But they're not on the equal platform. Lord Brahma, he's actually a living entity like you and me, but he's a very powerful living entity. His consciousness is extremely high. And because of that, he's been given this incredible task by the Lord to create. But as we see in the Bhagavatam, Brahma himself, when he is first manifests on the lotus of the Lord, he's not aware of what to do. The inspiration from the Lord gives him the ability to create. So he's not on the same platform as Vishnu. Lord Shiva, many people make this have this misconception that there's no difference between Shiva and Vishnu. In one sense, there isn't. In one sense, because when Lord Vishnu wants to connect with this world, interact with this world, our world, the material world, that interaction becomes Lord Shiva. So Shiva and Vishnu in one sense are the same, but they're not. They're different as well. Then the example is given in this Brahma Samhita that both milk and yogurt are milk products, right? They're both milk products. So they're the same in one sense, but they're different as well because milk, you add something to it, curding agent, like lemon juice or something, or yogurt, and it becomes yogurt. It's different from milk. You can't convert the milk back into yogurt, but you can convert the yogurt into milk. Sorry, the milk into yogurt. So Lord Shiva is a transformation of Lord Vishnu when he is in touch with this world. The glance of Vishnu when he looks over the universe, that is Lord Shiva. That glance is Lord Shiva. So he has his own tattva, Shiva tattva. He has his own Kailash, which is not part of this material world. It's above this material world, but it's not on the same level as Vaikuntha. So it's important to understand that Lord Shiva, although exalted, and the Vaishnavas love Lord Shiva very much because he is the topmost Vaishnav. He gives shelter to those who everybody else has abandoned. What a Vaishnav he is. What a great, amazing personality he is. So we should not even think badly of Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma in any way, because they're great devotees of the Lord. Lord Shiva is regarded as the greatest Vaishnav. He's always sitting in meditation, and he's meditating on Sankarshan. It is explained in the Bhagavatam. Sankarshan is his Ishtadev. And Sankarshan is no other than Lord Vishnu himself. So this is, I hope this is understandable, and we're not meaning to cause any offense. If somebody's been worshipping Lord Shiva all their life, and suddenly somebody's saying, hey, he's not the supreme, I can understand you feeling a little bit aggrieved. But this is according to scripture. This is according to the Guru. This is according to the devotees. We haven't made this up. So if there are any questions at this point, any doubts one has, you're welcome to share. Anil, is that okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. Quick question, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes. We can hear you fine.
Yeah. So far, like people who are not aware of this differences between the gods, like Lord Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu, and have been praying. So since Shiva, Brahma, they are part of Krishna. So indirectly, we have been praying to Krishna.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And now what, how we can change our thoughts into understanding that we need to pray the Supreme Lord Krishna.
It's a very good question. If, say, one has been worshipping Lord Shiva all their life, Prabhupada never said, we want to convert you into Krishna consciousness. He never said to the Christians, become Krishna conscious. He said, become a better Christian. Stay where you are, become a better Christian. So if somebody is a Shiva Bhakta, still, we should understand what is Lord Shiva's position. You don't have to abandon that worship, don't have to abandon him. After all, he's the greatest Vaishnava. And if we pray to him in the right mood, it's just a question of getting the consciousness right. That, my dear Lord Shiva, you're dear to Lord Krishna. You're regarded as his greatest devotee. Please also show me the way. Show me the way to him. You're worshipping him. Show me, guide me how to do that. And Lord Shiva, he's the most merciful, right? It's known as Ashutosh, you see. Very, very kind, very compassionate. So I would say add Krishna to your life. Don't take anything away. Whatever you're doing, continue, but add the Lord, add the maha-mantra to your life and see the change it will take. Automatically, things will happen. And if one is praying to Shiva in the right mood, he becomes very pleased. He becomes very, oh, you want to approach my Lord? Yes, I will help you. In fact, it said in Varanasi Many people go to die there, right? It's Lord Shiva's place, kingdom. It's his holy dham. And it's said that he comes to that sincere devotee at the end of his life and he chants the name of Ram into the ear of that devotee. So whoever goes to Varanasi to die and they're sincere followers, i.e. sincere, when I mean sincere, it's not a business transaction. My dear Lord Shiva, I worship you, you give me. I want material wealth, I'll worship you, which is the general tendency of devotees who follow Lord Shiva. Is, they have this tendency, he's the most kindest, he'll give whatever I want. So I'll ask him for money and I'll ask him for a wife and a house and a car. And Lord Shiva is very kind. Bolanath, he'll just give. He won't consider whether it's good for this devotee or not good. He'll just give. So Lord Shiva, if you see his devotees, generally speaking, they're quite wealthy, usually very wealthy. But Lord Krishna's devotees are usually very poor. We've been reading in or singing in the Chaurastakam how he thieves all of the possessions of his devotees and leaves them empty-handed, beggars on the street sometimes. Of course, that's not quite an accurate description of what Krishna does. What Krishna does, he gives the greatest wealth of Krishna, his own prem. But Lord Shiva, he will give whatever the person wants. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, in the Bhagavatam, actually, we see this discussion between Krishna and Yudhishthira, right? Because Krishna's being asked, why are your devotees so poor? And why are Lord Shiva's devotees so rich? Direct question to Krishna, what's going on here? A challenge to the Lord. How come you make your devotees suffer and Lord Shiva makes his devotees happy? So then Krishna explains, actually, that's not the case. I might take away something from my devotee to make them closer to me, and that is their wealth.
But then, Nabi, Krishna's devotees never think that they're poor in any way at all.
Of course, no.
They may not be materially, so like that, but to them, they're like Mirabai says, Mere,
Correct.
Mere to girdhar gopal dusarona koi, so Krishna, my wealth is my Krishna, And just that second, in your typing, I think, to consider the names of the demigod like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. So I think there's the name,
good.
name of Lord Vishnu. So when Lord Vishnu's names, but if you think that is same as Lord Shiva, it's like saying, oh, the Queen and Boris Johnson are both the same. It doesn't matter, but it's offensive to both the personalities involved. So actually to call Lord Shiva on the same platform as Lord Vishnu is offensive to Lord Shiva. Even he feels embarrassed, he says, what are my devotees? What are they doing, What are they putting me on the same equal par with Krishna? I'm not really. I'm his devotee as well. And as you explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Krishna's Vaishnavas, yes, Shambhu is the topmost devotee. Lord Shiva is the topmost devotee of Lord Krishna. So it's our followers, like, we fall into that illusory thing that, Lord Shiva is the supreme person, and I'll pray to and I'll get whatever I want, because we are needing things, so we keep praying like that, but we're not lacking in anything when we're going to Krishna. Krishna empowers you with everything. If some of topmost devotees of Krishna, like Maharaj Yudhishthira, he was the emperor of the whole planet. He wasn't poor. Krishna made him in the position, put him in a position where he was He is the emperor, you know. So yeah, there is that misunderstanding or misconception, you know, that.
Yeah, no,
Okay, thank you. Carry on.
absolutely. No, devotees never, in fact, that is their wealth. And if you have Krishna Prem, what else do you need? But from the outside point of view, that was a question asked of Krishna, challenged him. He was challenged. So does that make sense, Anil?
Yes, Prabhuji, it makes clear. Haribol, Prabhuji.
Any other questions or doubts on these points?
No, Prabhuji, it's very clear. Thank you, Prabhuji.
In terms of everybody usually has an altar in their homes, right? So we, because perhaps lack of understanding, lack of training, sometimes altars are sort of jumbled up a little bit. So it's important that if possible, one sets the altar in a proper structure, if it's possible. So the structure would be Radha and Krishna usually at the top.
Or Sitaram.
Or Sitaram, that's right. Or
Gopal.
Laddu Gopal, Lakshmi Narayan, right?
Krishna Balaram.
Krishna Balaram. The Vishnu Tattvas go on the top. And then the next layer down would be Gaur Nitai would come at the next level down, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, because although they're supreme, they've come as devotees. So that's generally how if you go to ISKCON temple, you see Radha Krishna, and then you see Gaur Nitai next level down. And then you would have the acharyas, or you would have the devatas. If one is worshipping them, don't throw them away, because hey,
Hanuman,
but you just
Ganesh.
reconnect in a different way. And then you have the different acharyas. So usually that's a structure of a temple. It's a nice way to do it. And if we do it that way, when we have darshan every day, it lays down the situation, lays down the positions of the different personalities. If they're all on the same level, sometimes there's no choice because you've only got one level. But it's always possible to, put little platforms. So, but because of lack of understanding, generally we see, everything together. But actually, there should be some sort of hierarchy so that we can then understand the positions of the Supreme. So let me just see. Now we're at 5, and we apologies, we got there a little bit roundabout, but it's important to understand the holy name in the first place, and then look at the offenses. So sorry about that, doing it the wrong way around a little, not wrong way around, but the long way around, if you like. Yeah, that's a good point. Are you available tomorrow, Anil?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so if devotees don't mind, we can continue tomorrow, because there's no point in rushing through the rest, because each one has, each one of the other 8 points has significant things behind it. So if you don't mind, we can continue tomorrow.
Prabhuji, sorry, Prabhuji, a quick question about the previous discussion which we did like earlier today. You said, can I ask, Prabhuji? You said the Lord has invested all his energies in his holy name. So everybody are part of Krishna, and everybody's name is with Krishna. So what does like specific holy names means? And the other part with this question is, if somebody is having that particular name, then if a person has that kind of a like feeling that, oh, my name is Krishna or my name is Rama, I have something different than other people's name, how that can be handled?
Well, let me just try to understand your question. Are you saying that
A human.
a human, like we have our name is, say, Krishna or something like that, then are we equal to Krishna? Is that what you were sort of saying? Or because he's invested his holy powers in energies into his name. Is that what you mean?
No, Prabhuji. What I meant to say, a person who has a name of Krishna.
You mean his actual name is Krishna? The person?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, people have names like Krishna or Rama, like that. I have friends whose name are like that.
Yes.
So like those kind of people, like, or other people, can they feel that, oh, his name is Krishna and he has something, he has a higher hierarchy in the
Right.
in the names.
So if somebody has a name of Krishna, then he should be regarded higher.
Yeah.
Right. Actually, the name shouldn't be called Krishna. It should be called Krishna Das. Krishna Das. Das means servant, servant of Krishna. So when the spiritual master gives a name, for example, when we take initiation, one of the things that happens in ISKCON is that the name of the person changes. The spiritual master give a name. So for example, somebody would be called Anthony or Ashley. Let's take Ashley, that's a nice one. And he will be called, our Guru Maharaj called Ashley Ananta Vijay, right? But at the end of the name, there's another prefix added, Das.
The most important.
Das means servant of Ananta Vijay. So we are servant of God. So if anybody, this is one of the problems as well. You're right that, we can call somebody God and he's God. No, God is always God. We can never become God. Just because somebody has a name of God doesn't make him any powerful. In fact, it can be quite a disadvantage, because the ego might take that person down the route of thinking, yes, I am God. But actually, we are God's servant. Das, Krishna Das, Ananta Vijay Das, Madhusudan Das. Look at that, his name on this, you can see the name. Madhusudan is another name for Krishna. But he's got very beautifully written Das at the end, servant of Madhusudan. So this is the point.
And the ladies will be Dasi.
Ladies will be Dasi. But the advantage is, if one has the name like Krishna Das, the most advantageous thing about that is always remembering Krishna, because you're saying Krishna Das. And one example in the scriptures is Ajamil in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. He was a crazy fellow. He was 88, I think. About to die, he saw the Yamadutas. He called out for his son, Narayan. For some reason, some incredible sukruti he had, he called his last son, 5-year-old boy, Narayan. And he was about to die. He saw the Yamadutas and he called out, Narayan! He called out for his son. But who actually came were the Vishnu Dutas, the servants of Narayan came and said to the Yamadutas, go away. He has spoken the name of our Lord and we are here to protect him. And the Yamadutas argued, saying, no, he spoke the name of his son, Narayan. Not your Lord Narayan. But the Yamadutta said, it doesn't matter, he spoke Narayan, that's good enough. That name in itself alone is enough to protect him. So now you guys just disappear. And Ajamil was watching this dialogue. He was scared stiff. And he was thinking, what's going on here? Then he realized, oh my God, I need to straighten out my act, which he was given a second chance. He realized, I better start doing some serious bhakti now. Narayan, I better start worshipping, not my son, but the Lord. And he perfected his life, actually.
And Navi, there's there is importance in sound and names, and because it contains the syllables of the names of the Lord, like
Yes.
Krishna or Rama or Vrindavan or whatever, the syllables are there. And they're still potent, they're as good as the Supreme Lord. And there's been a tradition within the Hindus, not just in Hinduism. I've noticed that it's within Christianity and uh, other religions, that there is a tradition of naming their children with the names of the Lord. Although they try to mean like, my name was when I was born, that my um, auntie named me as Mohan, and my name is Mohan, which is the same name as Krishna. So when other people are calling out my name, like calling me Mohan, indirectly, they're using Krishna's name as well. So they feel that, that helps them as well. Just like you gave the example of Ajamil, he called out Narayan unknowingly, but he still used the names of the syllable of Narayan and Narayan, and the Vishnu Dutas came. So by naming other people as Krishna or Rama, it doesn't matter. Like, they even call their businesses, Krishna Enterprise or Krishna's Takeaway or whatever. They'll call out the name, but at least they're using Krishna's name, and unconsciously they are chanting that name in that way. So there has been that tradition, but generally it doesn't mean that, just because he's got the name of Krishna, he's as good as Krishna now, and that ego shouldn't go like that. But they're fortunate that, I've got the same name as Krishna. But even in Christianity, the Christ, Krishna, because the syllables are there, Krishna and Christ, the potency is still there. So they even name the Christians, like Christopher, or they use the names like that.
Good point. Even in the Islamic tradition, they say something like haram. Haram means abominable, abominable, horrible, horrible. So somebody, I think Prabhupada gives this example in one of his books. I think it's Chant and Be Happy, maybe, that this Muslim man, he was bitten by a pig or something, and he kept saying haram, haram, and he must have died or something, died saying haram. It's the same as Hare Ram, and he achieved the spiritual world. So
yeah, her and Ram is like, this is so horrible. A pig is a haram to them, which obviously is, that's opposite of being on the plane for Ram, so yeah. And obviously in their culture is like they use Muhammad, which is everybody's like a brother. So, but anyway, carry on, Prabhu. Sorry.
that's good. Was that okay? No, does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any questions we can take up tomorrow. Otherwise, let's carry on. We can chant the Nishinga Kavach, if that's okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining today. So, okay, let me stop this 1 second.